All right, welcome to Oregon Live at the Voice of Football, college football. It's just me, Owen Murray, here after Oregon's 56-10 win out there in Piscataway, New Jersey, over the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Really, almost everything you'd want to see from Oregon after that. Lost 30-10, 30-20 last week at Autzen Stadium. Ducks head out east, just break down that Rutgers defense. Dante Moore plays a little bit under 3/4. Looks phenomenal. We're just going to take a little bit of time here, break down what happened for the Ducks in this game, really get through a couple things. Then we'll get back to you on Monday with some of the real breakdowns after we have a chance to watch the tape. But just the first thing in this game here is just how efficient the Ducks offense was. Finished with 15 explosive plays. Those are plays over 20 yards, 10 on the ground, or 10 through the air. And really the big thing that I take away from this is just you come out of a game like Indiana where the Ducks really couldn't move the ball on the ground, got into third and long a lot, third and medium even more, and just are efficient with the ball. The rushing game was great. There were lots of explosive runs in this game. The bigger thing is just getting 5 yards on first down. They were able to spread it around much better in this game. The offense was way more multiple, which is really what we looked at in the build up to this game. Is just asking them to do a lot more of what they didn't do in that Indiana game. That's really what showed up for Oregon here. A ton of different receivers, a ton of different backs. Noah Whittington really shows up on the second play of this second drive of this game. A phenomenal night for him. Jordan Davison is the second Oregon rusher over 100 yards. That included a 67-yard carry for the true freshman. He also had a great block on the Whittington touchdown that opened up the scoring for the Ducks. But again, just back to the point of efficiency. In this game, Dante Moore was 15 of 20. He only had to throw 20 passes in this game, and it's really what you want to see from a team that's just getting back to understanding, how to manipulate a drive and how to manipulate a defense. The other big thing was that Dante Moore stayed upright this entire game. Certainly no sacks. Very few, if any, quarterback pressures and hurries. That's a big part of what makes this Oregon offense tick. You saw a little bit of experimentation with the offensive line where they slid Alex Harkey inside. Janoris Wilson was the right tackle for a little bit, not for the start of this game where it was Davey Uli at right guard and Alex Harkey out at right tackle. But again, it goes back to the running game and the ability to just move the ball well. It's really what shows up for this Ducks team, and that's how you get 56 points. That's how you score on 7 straight drives, score touchdowns on 7 straight drives. Really what Oregon takes away from this game is just an ability to progress the ball well, to make stops on defense. This Rutgers defense wasn't one that we said that the Ducks really needed to worry about coming into this game, but the offense was strong. Oregon was able to make Ethan Kaliak-Manis throw it up and also get great PBUs. Brandon Finney had a pretty strong one, a couple, but particularly on a third down on Rutgers' second drive that really just set the tone. In a lot of ways that the Ducks really didn't. In that Indiana game, you go back to 2 weeks ago and you remember 4th and 1 for the Ducks on their first drive. They do go for it. That's part of their style. Don't get it. That was the tone setter in that game. In this game, it was the Noah Whittington touchdown run. It was the Brandon Finney PBU that said Oregon's going to decide just how bad this gets, and the Ducks were willing to push it. It ends up being 46 points for the Ducks who put Brock Thomas in that. He's there somewhere around their 4th string quarterback. Interesting that we haven't seen Austin Novosad yet in conference play, I believe. Just to really close this one out, again, Dante Moore's final stat line, this one, 15 of 20 for 290 yards, 4 touchdowns, an interception that was interesting just in that it wasn't one where he was hurried necessarily, just one like an interesting placement. It's one where you really want to lead Brian on the outside shoulder. Instead, it comes on the inside shoulder. It's picked off. Really one of the only blemishes on this game. The other one was on the third play of this game for the Ducks, who it was a weird play where it's a screen pass on third down and Gary Bryant Jr. Gets the ball popped out and it pops up in the air and it's recovered. Rutgers doesn't gain any ground on the ensuing drive and kicks a 51-yard field goal that I believe was a joint career long for their kicker. But that was one of those moments where I go back to it and I think that could have been the tone setter in this game. That could have been the defining moment. And the Ducks were able to recover from it and make it so that it's not. Oregon said, we're going to choose what the defining moment of this game is, and it came on the next drive. Again, very few blemishes. That fumble was one. The interception was another. Truly, one of the better games of football Oregon's played under Dan Lanning. 750 total yards of offense is not bad. 8 of 11 on third down is a number that stands out to me. That's a phenomenal conversion rate, and it comes because Oregon didn't have too far to go on average on those third downs. Really, really strong. Held Ethan Kaliak-Manis to 8 of 25 passing, 32% completion, and those 2 picks. Aaron Flowers was fantastic. He comes up with the second pick, really breaks on the ball well. Ethan Kaliak-Manis sails it, and he's able to do it. But he also had he's one of those guys who loves to come downhill and hit a man, and that really showed up. Sometimes the Ducks really do get frustrated by that, and he'll come downhill and miss a man, and then there's nobody behind him because he plays next to Dylan Thieneman like that. And Thieneman will come down and do a roll. In this game, he hit his guys. There were guys that had the speed to get past him, and he was able to lay the boom and again set the tone. That's the big story of this game for Oregon, is that it was able to just choose when and where there were going to be defining moments. To talk through another couple of players here, Jordan Davison finishes with 3 carries for 100 yards. Including that 67-yard one that he broke. Again, looking like a phenomenal option, especially as a second back, as a fullback who can carry the ball. But the other side is that he's just able to block. It was a block from him and then Isaiah World on the touchdown run. And you can take it all the way back to Northwestern, where he gets upfield so quickly on these plays, and he's able to lay a block on guys already down the field. That matters because Deer Hill is so fast. He even outpaces his offensive linemen sometimes. And to have a player who's so strong and adept at getting upfield and also locating his block. He's had some issues with missing blocks. It feels more like those are in the backfield, but this is exactly what you want to see from a true freshman. Is the big thing about Oregon's true freshmen is that they develop so quickly. I mean, we're talking about Brandon Finney. We're talking about DeCorian Moore, who had a phenomenal double move touchdown. We'll get to him in this game. They learn so quickly, and you can tell, especially Oregon, the line is that they learn from wins. Oregon seems to have really learned from this loss. It's not that it's facing an amazing pass rush, or that this is one of the better secondaries in the nation. But it's making decisions and making calm decisions in this game, like the Davison getting upfield and securing his block that really do matter. And that tells you, hey, these guys are not only supremely physically talented for their age, they're not only able to learn a playbook, they're able to learn from mistakes they make, from mistakes other people make, and apply that immediately the next week. Just to run through, again, a couple more players in this game. The Ducks have 7 rushers in this game for 415 yards, plus 2 for -4. That's a phenomenal. An average of 11.5, long of 68 was the Noah Whittington touchdown. Again, you go back to what didn't work in the Indiana game, and you don't want to hang for too long on that game because the Ducks are really trying to move past it. But it is the measuring stick now. This is the moment where you say Oregon failed this season, and it's because the Ducks couldn't establish the run. They established the run immediately. The blocking was phenomenal. The ability to generate both outside and inside runs was really strong, and that was one of the things that you wondered. You say, hey, Indiana really did put on tape how to limit Oregon's game outside of the tackles. That's why Deer Hill had I think -3 yards against the Hoosiers. That wasn't something that's going to happen. That's because Oregon reapplied itself. That's because Davison was really focused on making his blocks on those outside zone plays, on those toss plays. Oregon was really successful outside of the tackles this game, running the ball, and that's very notable. Through the middle, they were also great. You take a look at the rotation here on the interior offensive line, and it felt pretty strong. Kenyon Sadiq was a huge factor in this game. He goes 4 catches, 80 yards, 2 touchdowns on 4 targets. Again, this guy is just a matchup nightmare. It's one of those spots where you say Oregon was really focused on getting the ball in this game. It was that sequence of 3 plays. It was the sequence of 3 plays where he got the ball 3 times on a drive and was really able to carry Oregon to a win, to a touchdown here, and it's impressive because there's been games this season where Oregon hasn't been able to use them so much. And Will Stein said last year, I think Jake Butt mentioned it on the broadcast that Will Stein was frustrated last year because he wasn't able to get Kenyon Sadiq the ball enough. That was where he felt like he really could improve this season. That was a huge focus in this game. Oregon targeted Sadiq 4 times, including 3 times on that one drive. And the big thing is that, when you looked at this Oregon receiver room in preseason and said, hey, maybe there isn't really a defined, X receiver, that's where Sadiq steps in. That's where you have the guy who can go up on the touchdown and get a ball that maybe Dante Moore leaves a little bit high, but really the truth is that he left it out of the Rutgers DB's range. It's impressive because he's a guy who can help lead block on those outside zones if you don't have Davison in. It's impressive because he is a matchup nightmare for these Ducks, and they really did apply it in this game, and that's something that is now on tape, but it's also something that you hope to see down the line, that you say, hey, this is a guy that Dante Moore trusts. This is a guy who really can make plays, and not every secondary the Ducks play is going to be as much of a matchup as much of a matchup deficiency as Rutgers was against Sadiq. It doesn't matter. He is a guy who can go beat most defensive backs in the nation. That for me is one of the biggest takeaways from this game. To get to DeCorian Moore, 2 catches, 63 yards and a touchdown, 17 yards after catch, 3 targets. We've been talking about this kid for a while. Impressive just in his ability to be so cool. The double move touchdown was really strong just because, and again, shout out to Jake Butt on the broadcast. You mentioned this, just how much he was able to sell his double move. You go back to talking about this Oregon receiver room in preseason, and he's really one of the biggest things that John and I have been talking about this show is how much we said that DeCorian Moore needed to step up. He's done that. He's been that guy who not only is electric with speed, again, to go back to what we were talking about with Davison, but is able to learn game over game and develop at a rate that is faster than other freshmen we've seen, in the nation and in the past at Oregon. Yeah, he is the best receiver on this team. He is a guy that Moore innately trusts, and is willing to go to, not only in situations like this, but also in high pressure situations. That's something that Oregon is lucky to have. And if he keeps developing at this rate, oh man, like you start looking at, what the ceiling could be for this kid. Oregon's got him for 2 more years. This was a really impressive game. The blemish for Moore did come, DeCorian Moore did come. There was a muffed punt there near the end of the game. It's tough. They've rotated him. Gary Bryant Jr. has been the main punt returner for the Ducks. They're putting in some of the backups, gave DeCorian Moore a rep there. It was a tough one, came off his hands. That's where Rutgers ends up getting its only touchdown, getting the score up to 10. It's one where you say, yeah, it's frustrating. Obviously, it's one that shouldn't happen, especially if you're willing to put him out on the field there in any situation and say, go catch a punt. It's also a situation, that is this is a low pressure situation for the Ducks. This is a point where you say, hey, like this is real game experience, and he dropped it. That's something that's going to stick in his mind to a degree, and that's you hope, where as you've seen with the rest of these freshmen, that it's a moment where he can really look to improve and grow, and the next time they put him out there, if they do put him out there, that's going to be a catch. That's where you start making these moments valuable, and that's why it's important to watch the ends of these games. Because you start seeing learning moments. You think about these games, you say, hey, Ducks are up by 40. It's really not a moment where anybody can learn. It really is. It's something that's impressive. And even if it's a negative spot, that is, a moment where the Ducks start to grow. Jeremiah McClellan had a couple impressive catches in this game. Gary Bryant Jr., again, fantastic. We saw a little bit of Cooper Perry, who I believe burned his red shirt in this game. That's interesting. We'll be curious, especially to see how he gets used down the stretch. We know Kyler Casper, unfortunately, is out for the season, but that could open up a spot for a guy like Cooper Perry to maybe get some touches. He got some in this game. That's number 17 for the Ducks, a true freshman, one of the ones that we really haven't seen too often. just to take a step back and really look at this game as a whole. You look at it right as a get back game, as a get right game for the Ducks after Indiana. That's exactly what it served like. You come into this game, and what John and I were talking about last Monday is just that you want to see the Ducks be calm, be efficient, and that's I think that is exactly what you saw. Dante Moore didn't need to throw the ball too much. 15 completions on 20 attempts. Brock Thomas goes 3 of 4 for 45 after they make that switch about a minute left in the third quarter. I mean, again, the biggest part for me is just how strong the offensive line held up. How much of this play was unhurried, even when there were situations where Dante Moore had to step up in the pocket or roll out. Against Indiana, those were hurried moments, and those were spots where you say, hey, maybe he is getting off reads too quickly. That didn't really happen in this game. That was something that Ethan Kaliak-Madness did, not something that Dante Moore did. And that's really what you want to see. Again, we talk about some of these freshmen. It's easy to forget that Dante Moore is 20 years old. He's a redshirt sophomore. And that he's having these learning moments too. You learn when you go to Penn State. You learn when you lose to Indiana. You learn from Rutgers. That this was a big away trip for the Ducks, and to come out and really put your best foot forward like this is something that you really think was a strong moment for the Ducks. Because I mean, personally, I was saying before this game, like, hey, I don't really know that it matters if the Ducks don't win by 40, as long as it does look efficient and strong. Ducks decide to do both, which works and which is cool. To go to the Rutgers side just a little bit, Ducks hold Rutgers to 123 net rushing yards on 42 attempts, 2.9 yards per carry. Again, a spot where they had struggled in a couple games, in spots where they'd looked vulnerable this year. That the fourth quarter and overtime against Penn State, they started giving up runs against running backs who were better. But Rutgers had some underrated running backs, and to see them really be able to shut down the run like this is what gets. I mean, this is football, but it's what gets teams into second and long, into third and long, and forcing them to punt. That's really just it's fundamental football, which is what you're hoping that the Ducks really got back to in this game, and that shows up on the stat sheet. It shows up on the eye test. Ducks held all of Rutgers receivers under 42 yards receiving, 79 yards total. KJ Duff, actually, who I don't believe was one of their two, who was in the top two contested catchers in the league, goes for 3 catches for 41 yards, longest of 18 on 9 targets though. These guys aren't being efficient. Sheffield 3 of 8 targets for 26. It's a situation again where you're looking at this Ducks secondary and you're saying how can they rebound? How can they get better? What are the situations in which we're looking for learning moments, and it is limiting explosive plays. Jaden Kennedy, I thought, was really good in this game. He had a couple impressive PBUs just on third down in the third down to end the second drive, and then right out of the gate in the second half. He's been really strong in the nickel, in the star, as Oregon calls it, and that's a moment where Oregon really to look at the secondary as a whole got outmatched against a couple really good wide receivers. Has been outmatched. You remember the drive in the Penn State game where they went 4 plays down the field. That didn't happen here. And again, you look back at this Indiana offense and say, hey, maybe it isn't as good. But these wide receivers are guys who have been able to dominate defensive backs. Rutgers had been forced to throw the ball a lot because they had played from behind with the defense that had been struggling. That didn't happen in this game, and the lead to the story, which you can go read on dailyemerald.com, is just that everybody knew what they thought was going to happen in this game. Maybe it took until that about the 8-minute mark in the second quarter when they get that second touchdown run. Oregon didn't listen to that. Oregon was at a point where like I've been saying from the start of this, that it was able to really define what the defining moments of this game were going to be. And even though Rutgers offered up some of its own, offered up a fumble and went and got a field goal and led this game, to the ability to bounce back from that is something that shows strength in coaching, strength of mind. That really impressed me. That there are people who will go at this one and say, hey, I really was frustrated with the interception, shouldn't be making mistakes like that. the fumble, you can't do that against a better team. And of course you can. And those are things that Oregon will go back and look at. But I think on the whole, you can take a look at the Ducks, I think, in a vacuum in this game and just say, here's what I really liked. They were efficient, they were strong, fundamental. Everything that sounds like a cliche is what happened here, because this was, the cliche bounce back game for the Ducks. They were able to win by 46 and be really strong. We're on here. If for everybody who's joining, I'm Owen Murray on the Voice of College Football Live. Oregon, breaking down what happened in this game. Oregon wins 56-10 over Rutgers. You can see, just a really strong performance from the Ducks. Dante Moore finishes 15 of 20 for 294 touchdowns and a pick, 75% completion rate, which is something that's really impressive. And you start looking at this stat sheet, and it's just, total domination for the Ducks, 42 minutes of possession, and to do it in less time than Rutgers too. Just it goes back to how efficient the Ducks were here. 8 of 11 on third downs. I really want to highlight that stat again, because that's a spot when you see teams struggling, it's that's one of the first things you look at. How are they on third down? How are they on fourth down? Oregon, a team that really does love to go for it on fourth down, didn't have to in this game. 8 of 11 on third down is a really strong conversion rate. Just all around a really phenomenal game for the Ducks. John Evans and I will be back here on Monday to break down what really happened in this game. We're going to take a look at the tape, get back to you there. Ducks facing Wisconsin next week at October 25th for a homecoming game, the Grateful Dead game. We thank you so much for following along our coverage here. Appreciate y'all. Have a good night.